I just want you to know at least she's not in pain anymore. Hmm. And at least you got almost 3 months with her. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. At least you know she's in heaven. Hmm. At least God has a plan. Oh, we're going for gold today. At least you still have your faith. Do you know what God said to Job after he lost everything? His children, his health, his money, everything. He didn't say at least. Not once. At least is the most well-meaning, most quietly damaging phrase in the grief vocabulary. And today, I want to talk about why and what God actually says instead. Because at least isn't mean, it's scared. And today, I want to break down why we say it, why it lands like a brick, and what God actually says instead. Because He does say something. It's just not what anyone expects. So let's just dissect at least for a second. Here's what it does. It takes your loss, the worst thing you've ever lived through, and it adds a but. Your child died, but at least, and that but, whether the person means it or not, puts a ceiling on your grief. It says, yes, this is bad, but not that bad. Here's a reason it's okay. And your heart, the part of you that loves that child more than anything, knows it's not okay. So now you're sitting with your grief and this quiet feeling that something is wrong with you for still having it. That is a heavy load to carry, Mama. Now, if you have said this to someone, I'm not here to shame you. I've probably said it myself in the past before Gracie died. I absolutely said it. Because when someone is hurting and we don't know what to do, we reach for the nearest thing that sounds hopeful. At least feels like hope, but it's a shortcut. And grief doesn't do shortcuts. Okay, can we talk about Job's friends for a second in the Bible? Because I actually think we've been unfair to them. When Job lost everything, and I mean everything, they showed up. They came from far away. They sat with him on the ground for 7 days. 7 days. And the Bible says they didn't say a word. That was right. That was exactly right. Then they opened their mouths. And they ruined it. Because the minute they started talking, it turned into a whole theological debate about why Job was suffering. Basically, you must have done something wrong. God is just, figure it out. Sound familiar? God has a plan. He won't give you more than you can handle. At least you still have your faith. It's the same impulse. We cannot sit in the unanswered. We have to fix it. We have to explain it. We have to make the suffering make sense. But here's what God said about Job's friends at the end of the book. He said they were wrong. Not just unhelpful. We're wrong. So what does God say? What does He say when everything is gone and there's nothing left to hold on to? He doesn't say at least. He says, I am. To Moses in the wilderness, I am. To David hiding in a cave, I am close to the brokenhearted. To Naomi, who came home empty and bitter, I am here. And to Mary, standing outside the empty tomb, not knowing what had happened, not ready for the theology yet. He just says her name. Mary. That's it. He doesn't open with a resurrection. He doesn't say, at least you'll see him again. He says her name, and she knows it's him. That's what presence does. It doesn't fix anything. It just refuses to leave you alone with it. So if you love a lost mama and you don't know what to say, you don't need a reason. You don't need a silver lining. You don't need to make the math work. You just need to show up and stay. I don't know what to say. I'm just here. That's the whole speech. Because at least says, your grief makes me uncomfortable and I need it to stop. But I'm here says, your grief is real and I'm not going anywhere. One closes the door, the other opens it. And if you're the lost mama right now, the one who's been collecting at least punch cards stamps, your grief is not too much. Your pain is not a problem to be solved. God is not searching for the silver lining of your loss. He is sitting on the ground with you, just like Job's friends should have. And he's not going anywhere. If this hit home today, I wrote a whole book about this, about the things nobody says and what God actually does in the middle of grief. It's called Joy Does Return, and the link is below. And if you're new here, welcome. This is Loud About Loss. We say the things out loud that grief tries to keep quiet. So subscribe if you want more of that. And leave me a comment. What's the most well-meaning thing someone said to you that landed completely wrong? I'll go first in the comments. See you in the next one.